Dr. Klinner, thank you very much for having us to have this interview. This interview is all about our relationship, and namely the diplomatic relationship that has been established 30 years ago. What are some key moments that you may say that are really worth mentioning?
Well, thank you very much for having me here today, and I'm very happy to talk about our relationship between Uzbekistan and Germany. Obviously, the first major event was establishing the diplomatic relations between Germany and Uzbekistan. This was a very historic moment when, after the Soviet Union's fall, we very fast tried to establish relations with the newborn states in Central Asia, among them Uzbekistan, which is a central player in the region. Since then, our relation has developed on a normal and smooth path, most of the time at least. But I think that now, the last 6 years, we are in a new phase, because Uzbekistan is now in a reform mode, and we feel that there is a new energy in the country and trying to reform the whole state, the economy and society as a whole, and that is for us very important. That's why we also support Uzbekistan on this path. And if you look at it from all states in Central Asia, Uzbekistan is the focal country also of our economic cooperation. It is the country the Ministry of Economic Cooperation has chosen as a strategic partner.
Thank you very much. And as an environmentalist and eco-activist, I need to ask you about ecology. What do you think is the most successful project that has been implemented between Germany and Uzbekistan?
Well, to the first question, yes, ecology is a very important sector of our cooperation, but I wouldn't say that's the only one and that's the most important, because we do have many other fields too. I only want to mention at this point our cooperation in the medical field. Medical services are also of enormous importance for the quality of life, as is the academic cooperation. So yes, ecology is a very important subject, and it's also very crucial for this country and the region, because especially if we think about the water policy. This one we have also since 1993. We have the so-called Berlin process, and that is water diplomacy. So the regional cooperation on water is very important, but ecology is also more than water, obviously. So we continue this under the auspices of Green Central Asia. If you want to ask about concrete steps, I think the most visible one is our efforts to recondition the Aral Sea area, where we have tried with a lot of success the reforestations with saxaul, with so-called halophytes, so plants which can also grow under adverse conditions, especially if it's heavily saline, so there's too much salt in it. That is something which is much more important than the reforestation as such, because it keeps the soil. And from there, I think you all remember the sandstorms of last year. If the soil is not kept by plants, it will be swept away and is a health hazard for everyone living around, especially for the communities in Karakalpakstan who are living closely by, but also for everyone else. So this is something very important. It's a project which is important, not only for the ecological question as such, but because of its results, of its effects on the human, on the population and on the human body and on the human health. Obviously, what we are now trying also to do is something which is having a little bit a difficult title. It's called the Nexus Land, Energy, Water. But what is exactly it means that we have to take a holistic approach and we have to think about the results in every area and how they are interconnected. So what I think what we should do in the future is also look on a regional perspective from the very beginning of the rivers and of the water body of Central Asia, from the beginning till the mouth, till the end, where water is lost and where we can use more wisely the water. Because obviously water, and that was already known in '93, that's why this initiative came into being, water is a central element of the well-being of this part of the world. Because generally speaking, water is scarce, but we do have agriculture, we do have, especially in Uzbekistan, a relatively high population alongside the rivers. So all of these need water, and therefore it's a scarce resource. In addition, we have different countries who have different interests, starting from Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan, which are up in the mountains, so at the sources, to Turkmenistan on the other side, which is a very lower end, and Uzbekistan has a large swath in between, and many people who live off the water. If you think about agriculture, without usage of water, it will be doomed. So, but the important point is that it has to be used wisely, because otherwise all other usages will be impaired. For instance, cotton was always a problem, or at least a sector where you had to discuss how to do it, and there are now modern technologies who greatly reduce need of water if you make sure that the water is coming directly to the plant, it's not spoiled somewhere else. If we can help with that, we do have experts, we have long-standing experience and a very good cooperation with Uzbekistan. So if we can help to better organize this sector, we would like to do it, also because we think it is an important element of a security policy. Because once you have scarce resources, the result will be that inevitably conflicts will arise between the different countries, but also with different communities, with different type of users, like the cities, citizens, and the agriculture, was all competing. And as more wisely the resources are used, as less you have a reason for conflicts arising in the society at large.
Good. In fact, it's very nice that you mentioned about academic sphere, because I need to ask you about our relationship in academic sphere. We all know that Germany boasts top-notch education system, universities, schools, they are all popular around the world. Is there any prospective joint project between your education system and Uzbekistan's?
Well, we have a very large-scale cooperation. We have many Uzbek students studying already in Germany. We have also academic cooperation between different German universities. There is one flagship project we have right now, which is a new Uzbekistan university, and there one very famous university in Germany, the Technical University of Munich, is cooperating, and Professor Hermann is a leading figure here at the new Uzbekistan University, and that's a very professor who has brought forward enormously the cluster around the Technical University of Munich. So that's something we put a lot of hope into it, because that is a project which is a showcase for the Uzbek efforts to renovate, to refurbish the academic sector.
Thank you. And obviously, as a media representative, I need to ask you about mass media. Back in 2019, we all remember Deutsche Welle donated to the University of Journalism and Mass Communication in Tashkent a set of equipment, radio equipment namely. And I think it was a great contribution in terms of rule of law, freedom of speech, and independent press. In your opinion, can our countries further this kind of strategic partnership?
Obviously. First of all, I also think it was a great idea to put a studio like that into a university, because the young journalists can learn on the spot how to present their programs, how to present their ideas, and that is very important. And we do have also, Deutsche Welle has an academia, Deutsche Welle Academia, who have courses here in Uzbekistan at a regular base, but also in Germany. And that's of a lot of help to emancipate a journalistic class, which is also looking to fill the new spaces they have, which have been opened for the last 6 years.
Thank you very much. And I have my last question. Well, it's somehow related to the situation in Europe. The instability in Europe that maybe has also affected every region across the world. Will Germany still continue to work on the ongoing projects in Central Asia, namely in Uzbekistan? And if yes, why is it important to do so?
Well, first of all, obviously these conflicts in Europe are a challenge for everyone. We are at the threshold of a new era where we still do not know how it will end. But one thing is for certain: the importance of Central Asia and Uzbekistan will rise. It is important that this region of the world is, as the European Central Asia strategy says, will be resilient. Resilient is a very academic word, but what it means that it can stand on their own feet, that it can build an industry which is competitive, which it can modernize, and therefore it is very important that this region is also independent from support from the outside, also from some of the neighbors. I'm not commenting too much on these relations. I don't want, but what is important for Uzbekistan and for us is that these countries have a possibility to develop in their own right.
Independently.
And that is why we want to support that also in the future. If at all, not less, but more.
Good. And the role of media in that, what do you think?
Well, media, first of all, I always think, should report about the developments they see. And well, therefore, for a pluralistic, for a vivid, for a dynamic society, the role of media is indispensable. You need a vivid media society. So therefore, obviously, we would like to support that too with all the means we have. Obviously, we cannot change things in itself. That's the country which has to develop. But we can accompany it and support it with something our federal president, when he was still Minister of Foreign Affairs, always called a modernization partnership. And that is something what we would like to achieve with this embassy and with all the German actors who are here in the cultural field, in business, and also in politics.
Dr. Klinner, thank you very much for this nice and interesting interview. I hope we'll continue collaborating between your embassy and Uzreport.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.